I was 22 years old when the man I was going to marry looked me in the eyes and told me I wasn't enough. Not in those exact words. He was never that honest. What he actually said was, "I need someone who can match where I'm going in life." But we both knew what he meant. I wasn't rich enough. My name is Sophia. I grew up in a 3-bedroom house in Columbus, Ohio with my mom, my dad, and my younger brother Tyler. My dad drove a delivery truck for 17 years. My mom worked the front desk at a dentist's office. We weren't broke, we always had food, always had heat, always had what we needed. But we were the kind of family where a car repair was a real crisis and a vacation meant driving somewhere instead of flying. I knew what money was worth because I watched my parents work for every single dollar of it. And I thought Ryan did too. Ryan Carter grew up 3 streets over from me. Same kind of house. Same kind of family. His dad worked at the same company as mine for a while. They knew each other, would wave from driveways. Ryan and I met properly at a mutual friend's graduation party when I was 19 and he was 21. And he was everything. Funny. Ambitious. The kind of guy who made you feel like the most interesting person in the room when he was talking to you. He had this way of listening, really listening, that made you want to tell him everything. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. Nothing fancy. He didn't have money for fancy. He took me to this small Italian place we used to go on special occasions, ordered the pasta we always split, and pulled out a ring that I could tell he had saved up for months. It wasn't big. It was simple and silver and it fit perfectly. I cried before he even finished the sentence. I said yes before he got the whole question out. I was 21 years old and I was completely, totally 100% sure about him. And then he got the job. Junior financial analyst position at a firm downtown. Real salary. Benefits. Business cards. LinkedIn update. Suddenly a very different kind of Friday night crowd. I was so proud of him I could have burst. I should have paid more attention to how fast things started shifting. The first sign was the clothes. He started caring more about how he dressed. I actually liked that at first. The second sign was the restaurants. He started suggesting places I had to Google just to find the price range and then quietly panic about whether I could cover my half. I never said anything. I didn't want to be the girlfriend who held him back. The third sign was Olivia. He mentioned her casually at first. Just a colleague. Then a friend from work. Then her name started showing up in stories more than anyone else's. Olivia said this. Olivia recommended that. Olivia's family has a place on the vineyard. I asked him once, just once, "How close are you and Olivia?" He said, "She's just a friend, Sophia. Don't do that." So I didn't do that. 3 months later he sat me down at our kitchen table. We had been sharing an apartment for 8 months, my name on the lease, and he told me he needed to talk. He knew. I think I had known for a while and just refused to let myself actually know it. He said things weren't working. He said he felt like they were going in different directions. He said, and this is the part one have never fully gotten over. He said, "Olivia understands my ambitions in a way that's hard to explain. She comes from a world I'm trying to get to. You're still in the world I'm trying to leave." I sat across from him at that kitchen table and I felt something very cold move through me. I said, "Are you breaking up with me or breaking off the engagement?" He said, "Both." I said, "Because of Olivia." He said, "Because of where I need to go." Same thing. I didn't cry in front of him. I have no idea how I managed that. I think I was too stunned to cry. I just sat there while he talked, while he explained and justified and packaged it up in language about growth and ambition and compatibility. And at some point I nodded and he took that as his permission to leave. He had already packed a bag. It was sitting by the door. He had decided before he even sat down. After he left I sat at that kitchen table for a long time. I don't know how long exactly. Mango, my cat, a ridiculous orange tabby I had adopted the year before, jumped up onto the chair across from me and just stared at me like he was waiting for me to explain myself. That was the thing that broke me open. Not the speech. Not the bag by the door. My cat sitting across from me in Ryan's empty chair. Called my mom. She drove 40 minutes in traffic and was at my door in 45. She didn't say a single word when I opened it. She just walked in, put her arms around me and held on. I need to tell you about what came after, honestly. Because breakup stories tend to skip the ugly middle part. The part that isn't cinematic or empowering. Just ugly and quiet and long. I lost weight I didn't have to lose because I kept forgetting to eat. I went to work every day. I was doing admin at a physical therapy clinic, nothing glamorous. Sat at my desk, did my job, came home, sat on my couch, stared at nothing. Mango would climb into my lap, and we'd just sit there together in the quiet of that apartment that still smelled like someone who was gone. I know how that sounds. I'm telling you anyway because it was real and you deserve the real version. The ring, that simple silver ring. I put it in a box in my closet. Couldn't sell it. Couldn't wear it. Couldn't look at it. Just box, closet closed. About 3 weeks after Ryan left, a mutual friend sent me a photo without any caption. Ryan and Olivia. Some rooftop event downtown. Her in a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Him in a suit I had never seen before. Both of them laughing at something. Both of them looking completely at ease in a world that I would have felt like an imposter in. She was beautiful. I'll say that honestly because it's true. Tall, polished, the kind of effortlessly put together that comes from growing up around people who teach you how to be put together. Her family had money the way some families have furniture. Always just been there, never had to think about it. I stared at that photo longer than I should have. And then I made a decision. Not a dramatic one. Not a movie moment. Just a quiet decision I made alone on my couch. I was not going to let this become the thing that defined me. Okay, real quick before I keep going. Drop your city in the comments, I want to know where you're watching from tonight. And if you're new here, hit subscribe because this story is nowhere near done and you're going to want to hear the rest. Back to it. The rebuilding was not clean. I want to be upfront about that. I applied to go back to school about a month after Ryan left. I had always wanted to actually be a physical therapist, doing the work, not sitting at the front desk watching other people do it, but I had been putting it off. Too expensive. Too much time. We had been saving for a wedding. No wedding now. I enrolled in a program at Ohio State. Got a partial scholarship, took out loans for the rest. Kept my part-time job to cover rent. For the next 2 years I was tired in a way I didn't know was possible. Tired at a cellular level. I studied on my lunch breaks. I studied on the bus. I studied at midnight after closing shifts at the clinic. Every Sunday my mom called. Without fail. Even when I only had 10 minutes. She'd give me the family update. Tyler's baseball, Dad's back, the neighbor's new dog. I'd give her mine, we'd say I love you, and I'd go back to my textbooks. My dad said something to me about 4 months in that I think about all the time. He said, Sophia, you know what the difference is between people who make it and people who don't? I said, what? He said, the ones who make it just keep showing up. That's the whole secret. You just keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. Simple. Not easy. There is a massive difference between those two things. Kept showing up. I graduated 2 years after Ryan left. Physical therapy degree. Licensed. A job offer before I even walked across the stage. My parents were in the front row. My dad cried. Tried to hide it behind his hand, failed completely. My mom took about 300 photos. Tyler held up a sign that said, finally, which was obnoxious and also completely accurate, and I laughed so hard I almost tripped walking to get my diploma. No ring on my finger. No Ryan in the audience. Just me. And the people who had shown up for me every single day. I started at the clinic. Got good at my job fast. I had always been good with people and this work needed that more than almost anything else. Got a raise at 11 months. My own caseload at 14 months. A real apartment. My name, my lease, my choices in every corner of it. I got a better coffee maker. Planted herbs on my windowsill. They mostly died but I kept replacing them because I liked the act of trying. I started taking evening walks just because I could. I got a library card and actually used it. Small things. Real things. I went on some dates. Some fine, some disasters, none of them serious. I was okay with that. I was relearning what it felt like to just be a person without being half of something else. That takes longer than anyone tells you it does. I thought about Ryan less and less. I won't pretend I never thought about him. I did. Not in the wanting him back way. That had burned out pretty completely about a year in. More in the wondering way. The way you sometimes wonder about a chapter of your life that closed before you finished reading it. I heard things through the mutual friend network the way you always do when you grow up in the same neighborhood. Ryan and Olivia had moved in together. I heard that on a Wednesday morning while I was eating cereal, and I sat with it for a minute and then I rinsed my bowl and went to work. I was genuinely surprised by how okay I felt. Not numb. Actually okay. Then I heard their engagement was off. Then I heard things at the firm weren't going the way Ryan had expected. And then, and this is the part that matters, I realized I had stopped keeping track. Not because I was suppressing it. Because I had genuinely, organically stopped caring. Nobody tells you that part. The day you realize you went a whole week without thinking about someone who used to live in your head rent-free. That day feels better than any revenge ever could. And then I ran into him. Not fate. Not a dramatic setup. A Saturday afternoon at the farmer's market 3 blocks from my apartment. Me with a tote bag and an iced coffee. Him standing at a tomato stand looking like someone who had not been sleeping well. He saw me first. I heard my name and turned around, and there he was. He looked different. I'm going to be honest, there was a small part of me that registered that. Not satisfaction exactly. Just noticing. The shine had worn off somehow. Still put together, still good looking. But his eyes were carrying something heavy. I knew that look. I had worn it for a while. I said, Ryan. He said, Sophia. You look really good. I said, thanks. So do you. We did the small talk thing. For maybe 5 minutes. It was genuinely fine. Not loaded, not electric, not painful. Just 2 people who used to know each other very well making brief polite conversation at a farmer's market on a Saturday. He said, can I ask you something? Would it be weird if I called you sometime? Just to catch up. I looked at him for a moment. Ryan, I said. I'm really glad I ran into you. But I think we both know a phone call to catch up isn't really what you're asking. He didn't say anything. I'm good, I said. I'm actually genuinely good. And I've worked really hard to get here. I don't think reopening old chapters serves either of us. He said, I made a mistake, Sophia. I said, I know. Olivia and I. It's been over for a while. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Her world, I thought I wanted to be in it. I didn't understand what it actually meant to be in it. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. And I meant it, no sarcasm. I wasn't glad he was unhappy. I just wasn't responsible for fixing it. He said, I think about what I gave up. I think about it a lot. I stood at that farmer's market with my tote bag and my coffee, and I looked at this man who 2 years earlier had sat across from me at our kitchen table, and told me I was still in the world he was trying to leave. And what I felt was clarity. Just this clean, quiet, unshakable clarity. I said, Ryan, you didn't leave me because of Olivia. You left because you thought I was a ceiling. And I need you to understand, I was never a ceiling. That was always about what you believed about yourself. Not about me. He opened his mouth. I said, take care of yourself. I mean that. And I turned around and I bought my tomatoes and I walked home. I stood in my kitchen in my apartment that I pay for with money I earned at a job I worked 2 years and a lot of very long nights to get. And I sliced those tomatoes and I made lunch and I ate it standing at the counter with the window open and Mango complaining at my feet because he wanted some and he was not getting any. And I thought about my dad. Just keep showing up. That's the whole secret. He was right. He was completely right. That was about 8 months ago. And here's where it gets a little more layered. Because Ryan didn't leave it at the farmer's market. He texted 2 days later. Does it? I almost didn't respond. But something made me. I said I meant what I said at the market. He said I know. I'm not trying to push anything. I just want to say sorry properly. Not the farmer's market version. We met for coffee once. Just coffee, middle of the day, public place. And he said everything he should have said 2 years ago. That he had been chasing something that wasn't real. That he had confused ambition with worth. That he had looked at our life together and seen a limitation instead of a foundation, and that was the most short-sighted thing he had ever done. He said, "Olivia's world wasn't what I thought. Nobody there actually liked me for me. They tolerated me because of her. When that ended, I had nothing real. No genuine friendships. No real support. I had built a life that looked good on the outside and felt completely hollow on the inside." I listened. Then I said, "Ryan, hear you. And I believe you. But I need you to understand something." He waited. "My life is not a consolation prize. It's not the thing you come back to when the other thing didn't work out. I built this. Every piece of it. And I'm not interested in being anyone's backup plan, no matter who they used to be to me." He said, "I know. I'm not asking you to be that." "Then what are you asking?" Long silence. "I'm asking if there's any version of this where I get to be in your life again. Whatever that looks like. Even starting completely from scratch. As strangers. As nothing. Whatever you're willing to allow." I sat with that for a long time. And here is where I want to be fully honest with you. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say a hard no. Not because I still love him the way I did. You don't. That specific love. The 21-year-old crying at an Italian restaurant before he even finished asking. That version of love is gone. I don't think you recover that particular thing, and I don't think I want to. But I also believe people can genuinely change. Not always. Not easily. But sometimes a person looks at what they lost and they understand something they simply couldn't see before, and they actually become different. I believe that because I became different. The Sophia at that farmer's market was not the Sophia at that kitchen table 2 years earlier. People grow. So I said, "I'm not making promises. I'm not picking up where we left off. I'm not rushing anything." He said, "Okay. If you want to be in my life, you start from zero. You earn it slowly. The moment I feel like you're treating it as something you're owed, it's done." He said, "Okay. And you need to actually understand something. This life I have. My apartment, my job, my Saturday farmers markets, my obnoxious cat. This is not the world you were trying to leave. This is the world I built. And I'm proud of it. If you can't honestly, genuinely respect that, this doesn't work." He looked at me and said, very quietly, "It's the best world I've ever seen. I'm not going to tell you exactly where things stand right now. It's early. I'm careful with it. And I genuinely think some things deserve to grow privately before you talk about them out loud. What I will tell you is this. I am not the 22-year-old at that kitchen table anymore. I am not the girl who forgot to eat and stared at nothing on her couch. I don't need Ryan Carter or anyone to validate the life I have built. But I'm also not someone who shuts doors out of pride when there might be something real on the other side." My mom asked me about it on our Sunday call. I said, "I honestly don't know where it's going, Mom." She went quiet for a second. Then she said, "Sophia, you know what the real glow-up actually is?" I said, "Tell me." She said, "When the person who left you for someone else comes back, and you're the one sitting there deciding if they're even worth your time." I thought about that for a long time after we hung up. She's right. That's the glow-up. Not the degree. Not the salary. Not the apartment or the farmer's market moment or any of the visible stuff. It's this. The quiet power of sitting with a decision. Holding it in your hands without rushing it. Not out of revenge. Out of knowing exactly what you're worth and refusing to accept anything less. 22-year-old Sophia could never have done that. She can now. Okay, I want to hear from you before I go. If the person who left you for someone richer, someone better, someone from a different world, if they came back 2 years later with a real apology, would you hear them out? Or is that a door that once closed stays closed forever no matter what? And this is the one that keeps me up honestly. Was Ryan brave for coming back? Or was he just lonely and I was the first familiar face he reached for? Because there's a real difference between those two things. And I think which one it actually is matters more than anything else in this whole story. Tell me what you think. Drop it in the comments. I genuinely read every single one and I want to know where you land on this. And if this story hit you somewhere real tonight, subscribe. Stick around. This is the kind of story this channel was made for. The full version. No parts left out. I'll see you in the next one.